Then, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Son over the wall. Son has delivered.
What is up, and welcome to another episode of Voice of the Black and Gold. This is our post-game review of the LAFC versus Dallas. I have my buddy here, Albert, with me. Albert, what's going on, man? Welcome to Voice of the Black and Gold. Thank you for being here with me. And wow, we got to see a first Sonny goal outside the box on a free kick. Beautiful, absolute beautiful first goal in the first 7 minutes of this game. Top left. We thought that this was going to be the game that we were going to run away with. And then LAFC just completely non-existent from the midfield to the back line, but we're going to break that down. But Albert, first time here at LAFC, Voice of the Black and Gold. Thank you for being here with me, man. Let's talk about that first goal. Signature Sonny. I mean, this is what we get from him. Talk to me a little bit about it.
Yeah, first, Nick, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show, but also just a pleasure to see Sonny in black and gold playing for a team in Southern California. That means a lot, I think, for the local population. And as someone who grew up in California too, it's heartwarming to see a Korean icon coming. But yeah, just talking about the goal itself, I think a lot of people who only just started watching Sonny aren't realizing that this is actually something that he's had in his bag for a long time. Now, I think he didn't really take a lot of direct free kicks for Tottenham, especially when Harry Kane was there, because Kane was the main guy. But for the Korean national team, he's been hitting banger after banger, especially during the Asian Cup. He had basically one free kick goal against Australia in the quarterfinals of that tournament. That was an amazing goal. And then he's had a few others for the national team. So this is something he's actually very good at. It's just that most pundits who don't watch the Korean national team just don't realize that, this is something he does very regularly. And I think if LAFC lets him take all the direct free kicks, you might get a pretty good output considering his abilities on the ball.
When we're looking at it now, it sort of seems like that's how it's going to be. I mean, we've now seen him step up to take those kicks. Well, he did it 2 games ago where he literally was directing guys and telling them where he wants them to be. We've seen him in practice films also taking those kicks, so it seems like it's been passed over to him. This is what I'm comfortable with. I'm excited that he's the one that's going to do it. Yes, Denis Bouanga has been our man mostly taking those, but when you have a superstar of this caliber doing it, yeah, he might have not done it for the Spurs, but as you said, for the national team, this is the type of leadership that we at LAFC have been missing for the last few years.
I think so, and that's really important that you bring it up. I think Bouanga is a very good player. I haven't been watching LAFC until recently, but I've been very impressed by him in attack. But I think, obviously, when you have a Premier League superstar coming in, it's natural to see that. And I think, like you said, Sonny is a leader. So when he's going to take a free kick, he's going to direct guys to be in a certain position near the wall. He's going to want to do things a certain way. And that's just kind of the price you pay for a superstar. But luckily, with somebody like Heung-min, I think he's very humble. So he's not the type of guy who's going to come in and be a dick to people. He's going to do it in a proper way, and I think it's going to help the chemistry for the LAFC guys. And some of the videos I've been seeing from the practices, I think he seems to be gelling pretty well with the guys.
It's funny that you say that, right? He's not going to go in there and be an asshole, okay? But he still is direct with these guys. He's over there telling the guys that they're not doing good enough. The very first game when we walked away with so he's been in 3 games. All 3 games have been on away games. We walked away with 5 points. The first game was a draw. He said, I am not happy. Unacceptable, basically. And this is what
get
you
in the
want.
fight with Tehran. Yeah, with
Yeah,
Tehran. Yep.
this is what you want. You want him to say these things because it shows these young guys, I'm not here for draws. I'm here for wins. I'm not here to not score goals. I am here to score. Watching him come to the midfield to have to figure out how to facilitate is not the game that we brought him into play. And so I like seeing him holding players accountable. I like it. And again, you aren't familiar with what happened in LAFC, but we used to have Giorgio Chiellini. He was our general on the pitch, right? Sonny has now came in, and he is now our general. He is the guy that is telling these young guys where they need to be, and I'm loving every bit of it, Albert. When I tell you, it makes me excited to see such a superstar, humble, but yet stern with these kids to say, this isn't good enough. I'm not going to lose. I'm not okay with 1 point. I want to win. He is not coming here to just walk around and make this extra money. He could have went anywhere else and made extra money. He wants to come here and win championships. Next year when he has a full season, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in there for the Golden Boot.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. He's here to win. He's not here to consider the MLS a retirement home, which I know some people, shag on the league for being that, quote unquote, but he's here to be a professional footballer. And I think it's something he's really dedicated to. And the thing is, like, Sonny is an alpha. He's an alpha, but he's an alpha who is very well cultured and knows how to, I think, interact with different personalities in the locker room. When he was at Spurs, he had a whole host of different teammates. Obviously, Hugo Lloris was there for a bit, Christian Eriksen, the guys like Christian Romero, some guys who are a bit more hot-headed. He was able to build good relationships with all kinds of guys, and I think that's really important, especially even in the MLS, you have players from all different backgrounds, all different countries, all from around the world, and I think that it's going to be important, kind of his leadership in the locker room to help kind of really galvanize the guys. Because like you said, losing Chiellini, I think, was a big blow. He's an iconic Italian defender, not just for LAFC, but for the Italian national team as well. So I think that you lost a leader in the back line, but now you have somebody up top. And then Lloris in net already. It's not such a bad 1-2, I think, to have there.
Not a bad 1-2 at all. We're going to bring our friend Will in here also. I want to get him in on this conversation. Will, what's going on, man? Thank you for being back at the Voices of the Black and Gold. We have our buddy here, Albert, sitting here talking about the disappointment of this game of a 1-1 draw, but how beautiful of a goal that was from Sonny and what we should be expecting from him for the rest of this year. And I was just talking about his leadership, Will, and how awesome it is to see, because we haven't had this leadership since, as you heard Albert talking a minute ago about Giorgio Chiellini. I don't feel like LAFC has had that type of leader until now. The man, the myth, Mr. Sonny has came here now, and we see him confronting these young guys and telling them this isn't good enough, Will. It is not okay that we are only getting 1 point on the road. It is not okay that you are not in the place that I need you to be and I have to come to the midfield to try to facilitate because you're not doing your job. But in a nice way, because he's a nice guy.
No, I agree. I thought about this a little bit since our show we did, and I feel like the rest now, obviously, LAFC, Sonny, they want to win as much as they can. That's just in their DNA. But you have to kind of look at this maybe as more experimental to tell you what's wrong with this team, what they need to strengthen next year. I know you don't want to hear that because that's not what Sonny wants to hear either. He's like, I want to win now. But it is a good thing that you can figure out what you need to do going forward to help make his job easier. Because like we talked about, man, he's having to do too much. He's having to do way too much. You got him playing as a striker. He's having to come way too far back to try to get this attack going. They're failing him right now. And, I see all the fans when we were doing the watch along, a lot of Korean fans were just saying that how bad this team looks. And is MLS like this? The league is just unwatchable. It's a huge step down. Obviously, it's not as good as the Premier League. We all know that. Anybody who has eyes knows that. But what they're watching, they're not impressed with, man. And they think that Sonny is maybe wasting his time here, and maybe that he is, still too good, which he probably is still too good to be in Major League Soccer. 100%. But his team's just not doing him any favors, man. The midfield is an absolute disaster. The back line was turnstiles. They were traffic cones out there. They weren't doing anything.
My guy, I was telling Albert before you came on, it's crazy because back in the day, Will, what was LAFC known for, Will? We were known for the fast pace. We were known for everything good about MLS, pushing it forward. Now we have stepped back so far. And Albert, this is the truth. It's because of the coach that we have, Dolo. He doesn't know how. His whole thing is defense. He wants to park the bus. He doesn't want to push forward. When we had our old coach, Bob Bradley, that's all we did, Albert, is push, push, push. It would have really suited Sonny back in the day to be on the 2019, 18, 19, and 20 team, Will. Wouldn't have it? Because he would have thrived. And yes, he is coming here still in his prime. And to what Will said on his show earlier, LAFC, the guys just don't know how to play to his standard right now. And it's embarrassing. And so, of course, any new fans that are coming over, Albert, they're going to be like, why did he choose this team when they're on a decline right now? And I mean, I'm sure you're feeling that way. And I apologize about that. But this is not our DNA, man. I promise you. This is not the DNA that we were promised when we were having this team built and when we are the start of our existence. And it is a shame that that is what these fans are seeing right now. But we will get back to what he expects. We will get to the tempo being faster, the higher pressing, the faster pace, the one touches instead of holding the ball. No more of this side and backwards. I've seen more side and backwards passes this year than I have in the whole entire time that LAFC has ever been in existence, Albert.
Yeah, I think one of the things I noticed watching these LAFC games is just the lack of verticality. I think it's a lot of sideways passing, ping pong, like that horseshoe, the terrible U we've seen with some teams. And I think it does seem like it's a Cherundolo problem. I know he's leaving at the end of the season. He's going back to Germany, I believe. And I'm sure that LAFC fans can't wait for him to go. I don't know if he's going to come, but I think somebody like Ange Postecoglou would be perfect for this LAFC team. Vertical, high press. Again, it's a crazy thought. I don't know if he's going to do it, but I think a manager like that would be important for this team. But I also think that I'm not sure how the MLS transfer rules work, but you probably have to invest in maybe another attacking midfielder, somebody who could, play behind Sonny a bit and feed him balls as he runs into the box. So, yeah, I think it really seems to be like a two-part problem, like the lack of a really quality number 10 with the fact that Cherundolo doesn't really seem to know how to game plan a vertical attacking plan. And it's a problem. And again, like you said, some fans might ask themselves, wow, this team is not very good, which is why I think you got to make some moves as soon as possible whenever the next window opens.
Well, can I chime in here real quick? So, Albert, we have a mutual friend, tactical manager. I'm pretty sure you've been on his channel several times. Yeah, Filippo. One of the things that a lot of people were saying in my comments was they were saying the MLS transfer window is closed right now. You can only sign players. It's really weird. They have some really awkward, unconventional mechanisms, but the only way you can sign someone now is on a free transfer. And a lot of people were saying Christian Eriksen because he has a lot of chemistry playing with Sonny for years at Tottenham. He's still like 32, 33 years old. He is a free transfer right now because his deal ran out with Manchester United. What would you think about maybe someone like him? Do you think that he could still have something that could give this LAFC what they need in the attack going forward?
I think it'd be a perfect signing. To be honest, Eriksen's legs have gone. So as long as you don't ask him to be the main presser and to press the back line and he can kind of sit behind the main forwards, I think it'd be a perfect signing. Obviously, he was the 10 for Spurs when Pochettino was the coach and when they made it to that, Champions League final in 2019. I think signing Eriksen and then calling up Ange Postecoglou could be a great way to fix the problems on this team. Because, I like the pieces on this team. I like Bouanga on the left side. I like Sonny in the middle. I like your goalkeeper as well, obviously, with Lloris. So I think just a few more signings and adjustments, it could be great. And I think Eriksen could be a guy who's interested because I think he hasn't really retired from the Danish national team either. And maybe if he wants to make it to the World Cup next year, coming to America and getting acclimated to the weather could be helpful for him. So, yeah, a very interesting idea that I think LAFC should look at for sure.
So let me ask you, though, you're saying that you want Ainge here, but a lot of people have said that they did not want Sonny and Ainge to back to him because they just didn't let Sonny have the free will that he wanted to play in. But I know you're a huge fan of Mr. Sonny, and so I'm just wondering, what makes you think that they would be a perfect here in LAFC? Because a lot of people just don't want him to coach him again.
Well, yeah, and I get that because the Spurs team last year in domestic competition was absolutely horrible. I think there is a good argument to be made that Ange definitely deserved to lose his job, even though they won the Europa League. The main problem, I think, was the fact that Ange was putting Sonny out wide on the left wing and having him hug the touchline for Spurs that year when he's kind of getting older and he doesn't really have the ability to run past people anymore. But I think the reason he did that was because Sonny also, I don't think, is good enough to play as a number 9 in the Prem. He's not really a conventional striker, but with all due respect, in MLS, I think there's a lot more space for Sonny to run in behind guys. He's still, the quality is a little less than the Prem, to be honest. So I think it works in MLS as playing him as a conventional 9. And I think even if Ange comes, I think he'll be smart enough not to put him back out on the wing and have him hug the touchline. And he'll probably still stay somewhere in the middle. Another idea that I have is if you change formations, I think a 2-striker formation could work for this LAFC team with Sonny kind of as one of the floating strikers paired with like another conventional number 9. So I understand the hesitation about Ange for sure. He has some question marks he has to figure out, but I think him using Sonny that way last year was just because of the personnel and also the fact that playing as a 9 in the Prem is a lot different than playing as a 9 in the MLS.
Well, Albert, I want to chime in again real quick, Nick. Sorry. This is what Inter Miami does with Messi because Messi obviously is not the player he used to be. He's a lot slower.
Yeah.
Now Sonny definitely has more pace than I had thought he would. A lot of people were saying that his legs have, drastically declined. He just didn't have the pace he used to have like 5-6 years ago. But honestly, who does when they're 32 years old? They're not going to be as fast as they were at 26. But I think that that's an interesting point. Maybe he could play tuck underneath the striker, play, he doesn't have to run as much. He could be more as a playmaker, but he still is. He's more than a 10 though. He's more like a secondary striker because like Messi isn't just a 10. He's got 19 goals in Major League Soccer this year. So he's definitely more than just a 10. So that is interesting because I was thinking the opposite. I thought maybe you would play him more as a wing, like a left winger, like he did at Tottenham, and then maybe LAFC go for a striker in the offseason. But I mean, Sonny is quality enough to where he can play on the left side, the striker, right wing in MLS as a 10, false 9. Hell, he could play as an 8 if he had to because he's got the technical ability. But that's interesting point that you think that he shouldn't play on the left wing going forward.
I mean, honestly, I originally wanted to play on the left wing for LAFC, but then I thought about and given the heat in America, given the fact that I think he wants to save his legs for the national team as well. I think that if you want to prolong his legs, then you can play him as one of the shadow strikers. If you're not as concerned about that, then sure, you can play him on the wing and he could still play for LAFC there. It's just that don't make him hug the touchline too much because, again, even though he is a winger per se, he likes to cut inside, right? He's like a Vinny in a lot of ways. Like he likes to cut inside on his right foot to get to the box. So it just, as long as the next manager doesn't limit his creativity and lets him go anywhere he wants on the field, I think it'll be okay because, again, he's so good that he can play anywhere, like you said.
It's interesting. You both were talking about his speed, but yet, to Albert's point, we were lower than the Premier. He actually will. You and I, for one point, were like, yo, there he goes, there he goes. Like, he actually still has great speed for MLS. Like, he's getting by these defenders easily. And so that's his quality, that's his speed, that's just his technique. And so I'm impressed with what I see from him, but I need the team to step up around him. I need Bouanga. I was talking to Will about this, Albert. It's crazy. You see how the chemistry that Sonny brings around with any of his teammates, right? It's just something that he's known for. And you've seen it with him and Bouanga. But on the pitch, Bouanga has literally said, your team, you do whatever, and has just really taken a step back. And normally this is Bouanga's team. We don't expect it to be his team now with the man, the myth, the legend on here. But we expect him to still try to play to the ability. But he's not. He's so far back that he isn't even looking like himself now. Barely touches the ball. When he does, he's looking to get rid of it. He's not taking quality shots. You don't see any, it's just no ambition coming from him. And it's almost like, what happened to you? Now you have a guy that could help push you forward. This is the same thing I was talking about with the young guys of the Martinezes and the Ordazes. They have all the eyeballs on them from around the world, watching them, waiting for them to say, this is your time to shine, but they're not stepping up to it. They're not showing anything. We've seen absolutely nothing from Ordaz today, nothing. And when Martinez came in, just as bad. It was like, what are you guys doing? Take the initiative. This guy can help you become the player that you need to be, and none of them are wanting to do it. They are so struck on watching him because they're all in days of like, yo, he's here, he's playing with us, but he's literally having to play by himself at this point, it feels like. Albert.
Yeah, I think that one thing I'm scared of, obviously, is it becoming a situation where it's Sonny and everyone else, right? And especially as the player ages, he's a good player and he can carry the team for stretches. But if you put all that pressure on him, it won't be good for his mental health either, because I'll give some context. In Korea, obviously, he's a god, and he already has insane amounts of pressure for the national team. And you do that when you're out in California, especially when there's so many eyes on you as well. It won't be good. And I think that he needs help all across the pitch. And I also worried about Bouanga. I hope that he doesn't take Sonny's arrival too personally. I mean, obviously, I don't think he did, but it still threatens him, right? Because he was the main guy for this team, and now he's off to the side. So that's something to work out, like to look at as well. But yeah, I think that really, well and truly, you have to make some signings when you can, because this team cannot continue the way it is. And to be honest, pretty good. In the standings, you're around 5th place right now. Considering the quality of manager you have right now, it's not a bad position to be in. It could be a lot worse, I think, though.
Will, is it that he's intimidated, or is that Bouanga is just completely took off though? I mean, it's strange, is it not, Will? How far behind now he has fallen. He just seems like he's there watching. As AC says, there is no one that is creating, no one that's really creating for him. And he's having to go and do it all himself. He has to go back to the midfield, try to find the ball to facilitate. They don't want it. So he makes that run to try to get up front. Then he's tired, and the shots that he's taking aren't as strong as they would be if he didn't just have to make that run to the midfield, Will.
Yeah, I was thinking at certain points in the game. I don't know if you were on when I said this, Nick, but Dallas had a couple good chances, and they were absolutely picking LAFC's backline apart. And I thought to myself, if Sonny was playing up top on this team, he'd probably have like 2 or 3 goals with as bad as LAFC's defense was playing, which is really sad. And the funny thing is too, I'll touch on Denny here in a second, but LAFC just aren't really that good of a team right now. They struggled in the Club World Cup. They struggled in Leagues Cup. They're just a very, very fragile. They're hanging by a thread. Albert, I know you say you don't watch MLS very much, but I tell you what, I know you're going to watch the game next weekend against San Diego FC. That's a really good team. You're going to see a huge difference in quality between what you've seen. The 3 teams they played aren't even that good. They have a guy on San Diego FC. His name's Andrew Stry. He's very good quality, very good player. But Denny Bouanga, he's a DP, Albert, which you only get 3 of those per team. He's expected to be a leader. He's expected to carry this team. He's expected to make something out of nothing. And the guy has just been completely absent. He has done nothing the last, honestly, 3 games for LAFC, and that's unacceptable. And on top of that, with the midfield, and he doesn't have a chance. Sonny is essentially a one-man show right now. And I'm honestly surprised. Now, Olivier Giroud, who they got rid of to be able to sign Sonny, he struggled with LAFC because he had no service and he wasn't able to score but maybe like 1 or 2 goals. Sonny's obviously of higher quality than Olivier Giroud at this point. So he's going to be able to do a little bit more. But they got to make sure that this is not a repeat of Olivier Giroud, where he just has no service and he can't score. He can't do anything. They got to make sure they're maximizing and helping this man out. They're not doing that right now.
Yeah, and the way you guys talk about it, I almost think of, it's a really crazy comparison, but Mbappe and Vinny at Madrid. I think Vinny was balling out, playing on the left side, and then Mbappe comes in, bigger superstar, and then Vinny all of a sudden, for whatever reason, kind of loses his mind and just ghosts for a year plus, right? And
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you see what I mean? It's natural, though. I do feel bad for Bouanga in a lot of ways, because it can't be good for a psyche when he sees another guy come in and be like, oh, I'm not the guy anymore. And it's up to him to kind of dig in mentally and still contribute to this team, even though he's not the star. And if he can't do that, I don't know. Again, I don't know the dynamics of the club very well yet, but I'm sure he's probably not long for the club if he can't play well with Sonny, because I think LAFC paid a lot of money to get him. It's a record signing basically for MLS. So if you can't cut it with this superstar, then we'll find somebody else who's willing to play with him. And that's basically what it's going to come down to.
No, absolutely. And everything he's saying right there is absolutely true, Will. And I don't think that Bouanga's mental was whatever, because I think he was so tired anyways. And he felt like he needed that support and that help. And then the club goes and does it. And then now you just don't show up. I don't get it. But, look, man, we can make all the excuses for the front three that we have to. But when it comes to it, midfield, non-existent. Defense, non-existent. Without Sonny and without Hugo, we are toast. We are absolute toast. This game is 4-1 if we don't have Hugo. Last game, 4, 5, 6-1 without Hugo. Or 4-2, 5-2, because we ended up getting the second goal in the last final bit. But you know what I mean? Like, Hugo has saved us. Like, these two guys are literally the only ones that are playing for the badge, for the colors, for the pride of this team. And I don't see anyone else stepping up. I don't see it, Will.
Yeah, I just think that it's just honestly bad timing, because this is the least talented LAFC team they've had since probably their existence. This is the least talented, and people don't know that if you haven't watched the team the whole time. I'm telling you, this is the least talented team, and it's not even close. If Sonny was playing on the 2022 team, oh my God, they'd be unbeatable. They've just fallen so far from grace, and they're gonna have to. And that's why I'm saying, like, I consider this season to be playing with house money. There's not really much to lose. Anything that you do is just icing on the cake. This is more of like building for the future, which sounds funny because, Sonny is going to be 33, or he is 33. You say building for the future for a 33-year-old, but Sonny's going to be fine. He's going to be good for several more years. I think his style will age well, but that they have to build around him, and they cannot have another disaster. They got to, like, Sonny is the centerpiece, and you build everything around him to make it easier for him to maximize this team. And they're probably going to get rid of a lot of guys. And Ange, if he is the manager they do hire, let him have say on these players he wants to bring in. Because it's not easy, Albert, to get rid of or, move off of certain players in MLS because the weird roster mechanisms. It's really difficult. So they saved a precious DP spot for the new manager to be able to sign a key contributor. So that's a good thing. That's one of the positives.
Albert, look, I am the hardcore LAFC fan. Will is the mutual guy. And so when you hear it come out of my mouth, you're like, okay, he could be being a little bit dramatic and saying this team was something before. But when you hear from the guy that covers all the league and that says I'm non-biased, it shows you, like, I'm not just saying this because I love this team and I'm passionate about it. We really have took so many steps back, and to be graced with this type of player, it is hard to see how far we have fallen. It is really hard, because I promise you, the back passing, as I said to you earlier, in the side and the ping pong that you talked about, was non-existent before. We just did not play that way. Everything was go, go, go. So much that you almost worried about players, because it was like, they need a break. This is so fast paced. Like, they don't have any time. And now it's like, it's just, we take off. It's like we're non-existent for games.
So let me ask you guys, how much confidence do you have in this current management at the club to get it right? Because I think obviously you give Thornton credit for convincing Sonny to come to MLS, but are you confident that they'll be able to kind of restock the squad coming into the next season, or no?
Coming into the next season, I think John Thornton will do what he has to do. That's for sure. I think the biggest problem, if you ask most of us hardcore LAFC fans, is like, we wanted Dolo gone once he said he was going back to Germany. It is unheard of. Will has been pushing that Dolo was not worthy for a while. And I was probably one of the first hardcore LAFC accounts to say, I don't want him here. Just to give you a backstory, we made it to 5-6 finals and only won one. And I was very upset about it. My argument is if we only win one, we don't win the others, it's not good enough. You have to at least win half or close to. Like, I expect at least 2 or 3 of those to be won. And then I can say, okay, you've done your job. But then after that, you come and say you're going to Germany, but yet you're still staying here. And then he goes into a presser and he says, it's not all about winning. It's not all about winning. And that really just put our ears up and was like, no, we're done. And then he goes and says, 1 point I'm okay with. And so that is when it was a huge falling out with us fans. We have been Dolo out on everything that we do. And it's because What manager stays when they say that they're going to leave? What team keeps these managers after that? There is no reason for him to have passion like we do. There is no fight. When we play our El Trafico, our derby, he's okay with literally getting 1 point in a derby. Coaches don't say that. Managers don't say that. True winners don't say that. And so I believe that John Thornton will do everything that he can to build this team around Sonny. But I think that Dolo will not be able to do it. He is not the coach. He doesn't have the mentality. And I am very surprised to see that Sonny is okay with the not okay. Even I'm surprised he doesn't speak about it more of, it's weird that we're okay with 1 point. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's already said it wasn't okay before. I'm just surprised that he was like, no, once he's gone, I will come then, is all I'm trying to say, because it's two different types of play. Like, one person is a winner, the other is okay with coasting. Will, am I wrong here?
No, Dolo is a loser, and they could do a lot. They could do a lot better than him. Yeah, I think they won in spite of him rather than because of him. So I'm going to be curious to see what they do going forward. And yeah, I do think that they will probably be able to make several reinforcements. I expect that that's what they'll do from the jump to try to make a push and make this team as competitive as they can next year. But yeah, this team is just really. Are you familiar with Carlos Vela, Albert?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, Mexican legend. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best player in club history, and he really hasn't been. Carlos Vela, his last good season was probably 2022, right? Would you say, Nick? His last really good season. So they've kind of had this void since then. Denny Bwanga had a couple good years. He scored 20 goals, I think, in 2 seasons. But it's more of like, he's not coming up big when you need him to really. And by the way, Thomas Muller just scores his first ever goal for Vancouver Whitecaps. Just had to point that out real quick.
I'm a Bayern fan, by the way. I'm going to watch that later.
Yeah, so he just scored. Well, I won't tell you the score, but he scored. But yes, I think that once they get a good coach, this has so much potential. But this season, it's going to be frustrating as hell for any LAFC fan, any Korean fan. And that's why I say this to everybody who's watching. Don't judge it on this season. Wait till next year when they get a new coach. Wait until they get new players in here. That's when you can judge it, because this is a bad team playing bad teams.
I want to add something too, Albert, because you asked about it. And if you look at MLS this season on the transfer window, probably the best summer window that MLS has ever had. They've brought in some real game changers, right? And then, you look at what Miami did with Messi, and people want to come to play with him. And I believe that's what LAFC has done with Sonny. And I believe when they go out and they shop and they do have that new manager, if it is Angel, whomever else, they're going to say, we have this as a coach, we have this as our player, this is what we're building around. And a lot of people, a lot of players are going to jump at that the way that they did for Miami, the way that they will now for the Whitecaps. And that is going to also help John be able to make those signings, because we do have a strict rule. You're only allowed so many DPs. I mean, look at Miami right now. They have people that are there on TAM deals and GAM deals and whatever else of these deals that we have and these rules that we have in MLS that are really stupid, but we have to stay within these restrictions. And players will say, well, I will sacrifice some money for this first year to play with him, and then I will want to get that bid. I mean, and I truly believe that. I think he is the type of player that will make people say, hell, I know I would. If I was a big player and I could go and play with him, I would say 100%. I will take that cut. As long as the following year I'm able to get my money, I will take that cut to be able to there and go and play with this man.
And you saw after the game, some of the Dallas players were trying their best to talk to him. They're like, let me shake his hand. Let me talk to this legend. Yes. And that's infectious, man. When you have stars that come to the league, you create players who want to come play, not just fans who want to watch. And I think that, honestly, I know you guys said the season probably is a wash, and I tend to agree with you. But looking at the standings right now, I think LAFC, barring a collapse at the end of the season, is probably going to make the MLS playoffs. So, Nick, I'm curious, for the LAFC fans right now, what is the bare minimum you would accept in those playoffs? Like, how far would you have to go for this to be a success? Because in my opinion, I think right now I'm in Seoul and we have a lot of Koreans who are watching Sonny play. And I think that it would be big for them to watch next year if LAFC still made a little noise in the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to win it or they have to win it, because I know the team isn't built for that. But I think that maybe one epic playoff game where Sonny comes in and scores like the winning goal would be needed, I think, to keep those fans watching next year. What's the minimum here? Like how far do you have to go?
So, okay. So right now we have 5 games in hand to San Diego. Okay. Because we're in League's Cup. We have 3 to 4 games in between the game, the number 2 spot to the number 4 spot. Okay. And so we have some games to make up. Let's just say we took these 3 points today. Okay. And let's say San Diego didn't. We are now only sitting 1 point behind them. So now we're sitting at the top of the West. Well, we've seen that didn't happen today. If this continues, I actually worry about making it into the playoffs. I truly do. If we continue to drop points like this, I mean, look, we have a huge game coming against at home, his first game. That is not a sure win. We are playing San Diego, the top of the team of the West right now. Those are crucial 3 points. So I am actually concerned, to be honest with you. And that is why I apologized to you at the very beginning and said, as a new person coming in, this is not our MO. This is not our identity. And what would be good enough? We would have to at least make the second round. I want to be in the playoffs. I want to be in the semifinals. I want to win the whole thing. But I think semifinals, you're saying, okay, we had a bad coach. We didn't have a team around him. Semifinals, we did okay. To your point, we're still showing the new Korean fans, the new Spur fans, that we are a contender. Let us get some new blood in here. Let us get the new coach, a new mentality. But anything less than that, I think, is a disappointment. But the truth of the matter is, and I'm not trying, as hard of a core fan as I am very concerned if we make the playoffs. Will, do you think it's a shoe win that we make the playoffs and that we can go far in this thing?
Yeah, I think you guys are definitely going to make the playoffs, but I don't know how far you're going to go. Yeah, I think so. The West is very, very open and not very good, to be honest with you, outside of a couple teams. I just think that the supporting cast is going to have to be better. But here's the bright side. As bad as they've been, it would be almost hard to fathom they could be worse than what they've been. So if they even show any remote sign of improvement, who knows what they could do, you know? I mean, they technically haven't lost a game since Sonny has been here. They've got 2 draws and a win. That's not good enough, obviously. But if they play better, who knows how much better they could be? You know, Denny Bwanga has been absolutely obsolete. He's been detrimental to this team. And if he can play even remotely close to what we know he can play as, then who knows? I mean, they could be much better. But there's going to have to be someone step up. It cannot be all Sonny. Now, they did sign this. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, Albert. They did sign this kid from Brighton, a U22. He's a young player. He's an Irish international. His name's Moran. He's been on loan army and the championship. He's okay. I mean, I don't think he's going to be a savior. But if he can be better than what they have now in the midfield, then who knows? Maybe they can make a run.
I want to answer this question real quick, and this is not an ignorant question at all, Kimchi FC. Yes, Aaron Long is out for a while. He got really hurt. If we had Aaron Long in the back, he was our captain for the longest period of time for this season, playing really well on the defense, and then got hurt. So that's why we are now very shy in the defense area. Hollingshead will now be out because of yellow card accumulation. So we will get to see like Smalls call, which I'm sort of excited about. Big body, fast, has great crosses. I personally would like to see him step in and be the starter. I really like a lot about him. I'm actually not. This is going to sound horrible. I'm sort of glad that Hollingshead got that yellow card. So now we get to start this kid to really see what he has, because I think he's deserved it. But we are loyal to our veteran players, right? We were loyal to the Harveys and the Beta Shores back in the day before we would put in Palacios, right? And Palacios ended up being one of our best backline guys ever. So I'm excited to see what Smallscoff will do, and especially giving him the whole 90 minutes. It's going to be a big deal for this kid, that game. And so I really expect to see our defense look a little bit better. But, yeah, Aaron Long is going to be out for a little bit. Will, anything else you want to add before we jump off here? And first of all, guys, I appreciate y'all both jumping on here last minute to do this post-game conversation with me. I was just very upset about the way that this went, because the first 7 minutes, I was so excited. It was the most beautiful goal. I felt that we were going to turn that next page, and then we wouldn't be talking about, will we make it to the playoffs? But seeing these games and having these 1 points, it makes me nervous. And so it's a situation where, I think LAFC needs to do better. And we can't put it all on him. As people are saying, he looks disappointed. He said in his interview that he wasn't happy. And these are things that you don't want. His first 3 games, every game he said two out of 3, he said he wasn't happy. He's disappointed, shaking his head after the whistle, not happy with these guys. To Albert's point, he is not going to be an asshole, but he is going to be stern. And he is going to demand excellence. And if it isn't, I do see him having that conversation with John and being like, John, I need A, B, and C around me. I need this to be better, because we can do it, but I don't have the team for it. And that doesn't make him wrong, does it, Will? Like he's telling them, I need better.
No, I think that's a good thing. That's what a leader does, is that you obviously hold your teammates and your team to a high standard, because you want to win. I don't know what's going to happen the remainder of this season, but they have a good foundational piece going forward with Sonny, and we'll see what happens next week's game. Like I told you on my show, next week's game is the most important game of the year for LAFC. It's against a very, very formidable opponent, the number 1 team in the Western Conference, and it's going to be the first home game that Sonny plays for in his LAFC career. So this is going to be the biggest game of the season, and it's going to be a true test to see who steps up. Is this team serious? And how far are they away from a serious contending team? So next week's game is the most important of the season, and that will tell us, I think, how the rest of this year is going to play out.
Absolutely. Albert.
Yeah, I think Will nailed it. Shoving aside the fact that it's Sonny's first home game, you're going to have media people flying in from Korea just for that game, because it's his first home game. The stadium's going to be packed. Koreatown's going to show up basically to BMO, I think. And this matters because you have to make a good first impression. And if he is able to show out, but also more importantly, LAFC, they have to put on a good display, because if they don't, then like I said, then Korean fans might start thinking, oh, well, maybe this team isn't as good as I thought, and I'll just watch the highlights if Sonny scores, or maybe I'll just follow along casually. Whereas if you play well against, like Will said, the best team in the Western Conference, they'll go, oh, well, this team has a chance. They're not the best team, but they have Sonny, and they can fight. And I think that's kind of what Sonny exemplified at Spurs anyway, right? He was a good player. Spurs didn't always have the best team, but they scrapped, and they always stayed close. If they can put on a good showing against San Diego, I actually like what San Diego is doing. I think the entire area in general has had some amazing sports teams come up in recent years. I think that as long as LAFC can maybe nick a draw, hopefully it'll attract more fans to watch. But yeah, guys, I am excited for next week's match, and I will be following along eagerly. And I do hope that it is a good result for the team, because they really need it, because the media attention is going to be huge.
It's crazy to me to think that, as I said, LAFC had 400,000 followers on Instagram. Now they're sitting at 1.1 million. It shows you how many new followers that our eyeballs are on this team. And then this is the type of display that you're putting. It hurts my heart to see that, and to know that these fans could say, Will, oh man, I might just have to watch the highlights because I can't watch this. And that hurts. You see Kimchi FC, you see these guys saying, I'm going to BMO. I'm going to be there. And BMO Stadium and LAFC has always sold out crowds. And that's one thing that we are one of the best traveling teams, and we always sell out. But there will come a point where people will get frustrated. And you don't want all these new followers to say, I can't watch it. It's unwatchable. Like that is basically what Albert is saying right here, that they literally could say, I can't do it. I can't waste my morning to watch this because it hurts my eyes, and I don't want to see my GOAT, the Korean national GOAT, to be playing for a team like this. I will just watch his highlights later. Will, that's dangerous. And this team needs to understand that, bro. It's important that they understand that.
Yeah, I think though, based on my little interactions with the Korean fans, that they'll even though they're frustrated, I think a lot of them are still going to watch Sonny's games because they just love to watch him play. And I don't think they can wait to watch some of his highlights. If they're up already, I don't know if maybe all of them are going to get up early, but they just love to watch him play, and they're not taking him for granted because, a lot of people say he's damn near a god in South Korea, right? I mean, he is. So I think that they definitely have to play better. That's why I say that you can't really grade it on you have to grade on a curve this year. You can't grade it fairly based on this team. This team was scrapped together with pieces, and then Sonny just came on here to kind of put a pretty ribbon on a broken down car, right? So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be interesting. I don't think LAFC can win the championship this year, the MLS Cup, but I do think that they can maybe build and have something positive to look forward to heading into next year. And next week is going to be crazy. Like Albert said, the Korean media is going to be flying into LAFC. Koreatown's going to be going crazy. And I feel like that this is when the actual tenure of Son Heung-min is going to officially kick off, when he plays in his home stadium. I said this before. How often do we see a key signing have to wait almost a month until they make their debut at home? And it's kind of crazy, especially if you're playing games. Now, if you sign the summer, obviously that's a different story in other leagues around the world. But like when you're actively playing regular season matches, it's crazy you have to wait a month to make your home debut when you're already playing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Guys, I appreciate everyone jumping in here with us for this post game. This has actually been really, really fun. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that button for me, man. We have over 200 people sitting here watching us live right now, so I appreciate all that. Just do us a favor. Make sure you hit that for me. I really appreciate it. Albert, thank you so much for jumping on, man. I hope I get you back. You are full of knowledge of everything that I need to know that I don't know about this man, and so it's been great having that conversation with you. Will, thank you for having me on your show earlier, and thank you for being here with me right now. It's been a pleasure having both of you on here. Albert, anything you want to leave with and let the people know where they can find you, man?
Yeah, no. Firstly, Will, Nick, thanks for doing this. I had a great time as well. Yeah, you can find me on my Twitter handle. It's right there at Albert_Kim 2022. Also follow my YouTube channel, Peeping Ballers, where we follow the Korean national team, but also other leagues and other teams from around the world. We're gonna do a lot of stuff up to the World Cup, live streams, analysis. We also talk about the USMNT. So yeah, just keep an eye on that, and also follow our Twitter, Fighting Stripes Football. The links will all be in this video, I'm sure. But until then, guys, I'm so glad that Sonny's in LA, and hopefully just make some good memories, because it's just a fun time, and I want to see the joy back on his face again, because it was a hard season for him last year. He had a Europa League win, but yeah, it'd be nice for him to smile a bit more, and hopefully we can get that.
Yep, absolutely. Will, you have any last words?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning into this. I appreciate you, Nick, for having me on. Yeah, you can follow me at MLS Moves on Twitter/X, Instagram, my YouTube channel, where I've been covering Sonny extensively. I've done a watch along for every single one of his games with LAFC. I've done post game recaps. I've talked about what he meant for the league. You can check out all my content. I'm also going to do a live watch along for his first home game, because it's such a big deal. So hopefully I'll get to catch some of you guys over there as well. Maybe even I'll link up with Albert. Maybe he can swing by as well at some point during the game.
I love that.
Yeah, man. And then we, after the game, for his home game, it's going to be that Monday is Labor Day weekend, but we are going to do a longer special for the VOBG. So hopefully I'll have some friends come through. Maybe Will and Albert might stop through with my guys that we do VOBG with, and it's going to be a good time. It's well worth to go past the hour, do an extra 45 minutes, maybe an extra hour. We'll see how it goes. We're just going to flow with it. But I'm really looking forward to this home game. It's going to be massive. Go and learn the chants. Make sure you're out there. Make sure you're loud, proud. LA is still black and gold no matter what. Thank you all for being here with us. We appreciate it.